Data centers will take the lives of 90% of the population. I'm not talking about artificial intelligence. I'm talking about the infrastructure being built around it. Because people think data centers are only for chatbots and internet searches, but they're also tied to surveillance systems, data collection, predictive algorithms, facial recognition, military technology, and the next generation of digital control. And the justification for all of it, we're competing with China. That's what Americans keep hearing, but here's the part nobody talks about. America already has more data centers than any other country on Earth, thousands of them. Entire regions are being transformed to support even more expansion. Massive power lines, new substations, industrial water usage, farmland disappearing, communities changing almost overnight. People are already fighting transmission projects tied to a growing data center demand. Residents near some data centers explain about constant industrial noise, stress, and entire neighborhoods starting to feel more like industrial zones than a community. And while regular Americans are told to conserve energy and water, these facilities consume unbelievable amounts of both just to keep the systems running. Because this isn't the cloud. These are massive industrial facilities designed to store, process, track, and control enormous amounts of information. This is the physical infrastructure of the digital age being built across America right in front of us. And once society becomes fully dependent on it, there's no going back.
This is your cold water pressure in the kitchen.
You can see the sediment from the data center. Wow, and that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah. And this is what's in all the pipes.
Just the well itself is probably 20,000, and that's not counting any of the
All the
faucets.
replacement
Yeah.
of the fixtures and
That's
faucets
just
and
the well.
toilets and the lines that come underneath the house. It's overwhelming because you really feel like you are up against this huge wall that you can't penetrate. There's nothing that you can do, and they don't care.
Compared to the 4 million square foot data center in Fort Meade, the one proposed in Lakeland is much smaller. But that didn't matter for many who showed up and made their voices heard.
No, we don't want a hyperscale data center.
Say no. Say no to the data center.
These are the strong messages many Lakelanders are sending to city commissioners. They're opposed to what's named Project Swan, a 550,000 square foot data center at Old Tampa Highway and Wilkinson Road. According to the concept review application, there would be 3 buildings with stormwater infrastructure and an electric substation. Residents are mainly concerned about noise pollution, water and energy usage, and the environment.
So to even call it Project Swan is demeaning to Lakeland because it's effectively going to hurt all of our beloved swans, all of our wildlife.
At this point, the applicant, engineering consultant Kimley Horn, hasn't shared many details, including the anticipated electric or water demands, traffic and transportation requirements, nor site access details. City officials say if this project moves forward, they are making sure the use doesn't affect existing ratepayers and taxpayers.
We are as sensitive to the impacts of that use and those types of facilities as our public is, but we have to respect the rights of the owner of that land and the applicant the same as we respect the rights of those folks that came out this morning to make their views known.
I hope that we end up on the right side of history by voting no on annexing this proposed land. Lakeland says no to Project Swan. Thank you.
Ruiz says the city is still months away from public hearings and a decision by the commission if the applicant chooses to apply for the necessary approvals. In Lakeland, Carla Byron, Fox 13 News.
It's destroyed a lot of lives.
My house was pretty much surrounded by water.
Record levels of flooding coming out of this site.
Everything was just engulfed in dust.
And behind me is the ground that's being broken on the very first data center in West Virginia. After I heard about the flooding last weekend, I decided to spend the week here and investigate and just generally communicate the full story of the fight that the Mason County citizens are enduring.
They took all the trees and all the vegetation, and then they moved a lot of dirt and changed the elevation. So when all the rain came, it went right into houses.
So how long have you been at this house?
42 years. Beautiful land, trees, deer. It was a wonderful place to be. We didn't deserve this. It's destroyed a lot of lives.
I'm all for jobs. Just the fact that it just shove this stuff on people and not think twice about them.
The fence out back from the construction area was busted open. My house was pretty much surrounded by water and it was going down the street. went under our house, in our crawl spaces, got in our HVACs. I mean, essentially this company has destroyed our lives.
I said, honey, I said, our backyard is flooded. I said, come in here and look at this. Water's everywhere. And we've been here 30 years. I've never seen a flood until that data plant come in.
What are your thoughts about everything?
I hate it. I wish it had never came here. Nothing but one big problem.
Tell us a little bit about what you guys have been fighting here in Mason County.
This isn't your old mainframe tucked away in the basement. We're talking 3,000 acre campuses consuming the entire power consumption of nations, and it's being built on land that was West Virginia Ordnance Works, so there's a lot of legacy pollution in the area. The DEP still approved the groundwater protection plan permit and allowed construction to begin. And this is one of the old TNT domes, you know, containment for explosives, leftover nitroglycerin. So they had all these concrete bunkers everywhere. This one, a couple of years back, kaboom. This is the same site that's being disturbed about a mile that way. A data center's going in. The dirt's being blasted all over an entire neighborhood. Record levels of flooding coming out of this site. If HB 2014 wasn't written the way it was written, we would not have any issues. Preempts local authority. The only people that matter in the eyes of this bill are the people in the State House. None of our zoning matters. There is no restriction on how much noise this can make.
Who did this and when?
25 legislative session.
End of the legislative session, the last day.
All of us regular taxpayers are going to be footing the bill for everything this data center requires. This piece of garbage is not acceptable.
This is
unconstitutional.
Why do we need delegates?
It's totally illegal and unconstitutional.
Because of this House Bill 2014, all our rights have been taken away. It's going to have to be repealed and or amended. Otherwise, our communities are going to be destroyed.
You know, we're not illiterate. They're trying to take our voices away from us. West Virginia is not for sale.
So I was getting off work, and as soon as I stepped out of the truck, I could barely breathe. My eyes were burning. Everything was just engulfed in dust. This used to be a Superfund site, and they just released it all back in the atmosphere. I struggle with sleep issues and PTSD from my time in the service, and now my house is shaking. I got loud noise going on out here. I have constant night terrors because of it. There's just no sleep or no peace here. They took it all from us.
Growing opposition over data centers continues across Southeast Texas, including in the city of Alvin.
They're moving very fast. They're being built all over the place. With that, I think we have to be more sensitive to where they're located and the public they impact. So when I heard about a data center possibly coming to my area, I came out against it because I don't view our area as a good fit for that.
Alvin City Council member Scott Salter says council is now voting on a resolution to oppose the internet storage facilities until more information can be evaluated. He says there is no zoning in Alvin, so it's easier for the facilities to buy land and set up shop. He has concerns about the impact the data center could have on the infrastructure in their small rural town.
Daily power consumption is just under 200 megawatts. The initial electrical load of this proposed site was 200 megawatts. So I immediately was a little worried that it would double the power consumption in our area.
Salter is not alone. Brazoria County Judge Matt Sebesta says he's also opposed to data centers in the county, but says their hands are tied.
We can't stop them. The leaders we've sent to Austin do not give us that authority.
Experts say under Texas law, there are very few tools counties have to stop the sites.
Because they want to go into the areas where they have the fewest constraints, the fewest regulations, and the fewest permitting hurdles.
Judge Sebesta now adding a resolution for commissioners to discuss data centers at their next meeting and take a stance, even though it would mostly be symbolic.
We have one of these centers already in the county. It's a very small one, very small footprint. The neighbors complained because of the sound. And so there's issues out there with water, power load, that type of thing.
Their meeting is set for Tuesday, but regardless of what the county passes, it won't impact the ability for a data center to operate in Brazoria County.
Talked to one farmer who lives right next to a data center, not a new calf since they built that data center. The noise is called nothing but stillbirths. So it's doing that to cattle. What is it going to be doing to our kids? What is it going to be doing to our family members? Texas law says that every homeowner has the right to quiet enjoyment of their property. How are we going to have that if they create this noise, they create this heat, they jack up our water bills, they jack up our power bills? No, that violates right to quiet enjoyment. There is a part of me that is really, really worried that AI is going to be basically that apple of knowledge, that if we take a bite out of it and we are not ready for it, that we will either destroy or be removed from this blue marble of Eden that we call our home.
Nationwide, there's a growing backlash to data centers, those sprawling warehouse-like buildings housing computers and servers that power AI and the internet. And now some government leaders say they're taking action.
Today I'm stepping up to establish clear guardrails for data centers in New Jersey.
In New Jersey on Wednesday, Governor Mikey Sherrill introduced a new plan that would require data centers to, quote, pay their own way, to contract directly with power generators and shell out for their own grid upgrades. In Pennsylvania, Governor Josh Shapiro announced similar new standards. Meantime, last week, New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called out water quality problems in Georgia.
This is the current drinking water in Morgan County, Georgia, right after a data center was constructed. The Meta data center was constructed.
Meta says in part that an independent study found that our data center operations and construction had no impact on the resident. And some tech companies say data centers often bring jobs and revenue into communities. But the mounting pressure comes as 78% of Americans say they're somewhat or very concerned that new data centers being built will send their energy bills up. And one estimate predicts that data centers could use 12% of all electricity consumed in the U.S. by 2028.
The real question always comes down, why is it their communities that might have to take on the lion's share of the negatives or the costs with that? And those
Chris Borick of Muhlenberg College calls it a rare national issue that's brought together Democrats and Republicans.
If you go to these local meetings, you'll see individuals that might describe themselves as MAGA in the same partnership, if you will, with people that are very progressive in their politics. And that's forcing the hand of elected officials.
The environmental footprint of AI data centers rivals that of some of the largest countries in the world. That is according to a new report from the United Nations. It says that last year, global data centers used 448 trillion watt hours of electricity. That's more than all but 10 countries in the entire world. That electricity usage produced about 208 million tons of carbon dioxide. That's about the same amount that the country of Argentina emits. And producing all of that energy consumed about 4.5 trillion liters of water.
What we have shown in this report is just the tip of the iceberg, because we're only talking about the environmental impacts that are caused by the energy use of AI. The problem that we have is that most people do not understand or appreciate the physical infrastructure that is behind the AI operations. And there are massive material supply chains, energy infrastructure, and also, of course, the AI infrastructure that should run and be functional for us to have our daily chats and fun with ChatGPT and other AI tools. AI is not bad. AI is coming with a lot of benefits. It's affecting the quality of our lives. It's making improvements to many things, many sectors. So AI is not bad per se. The question is how we manage AI, how we manage growth. If we want to build data centers and create jobs through that, if we want to boost the economy, we have to also think about the consequences. At some point, we run out of water. The question is whether you're taking water and energy away from other things or not, and can you keep up with the growth?
Keep the doors closed all the time.
It's a sunny afternoon in Atlanta, Georgia. But inside Carolyn Kane's 3,000 square foot home, it's cold.
I'm walking around in a ski suit, trying to stay warm in the winter. My fur jackets.
It's just one of the ways Kane has tried to beat her skyrocketing electric bills.
So effectively your bill had almost doubled in like 2 years.
Yeah.
She's now turned off her heat and water, leaving much of this home hard to live in.
So where do you live right now?
I live in a little apartment in the back.
Is Carolyn's story unique?
Carolyn's story is not unique. So this is the data center, and I'd like you to...
Patty Duran founded nonprofit advocacy group Georgians for Affordable Energy. She's been tracking the cost of electricity in the state for over a decade.
The average bill for an average customer used to be about $150 a month. The average bill now is $225.
A CBS News analysis found Georgia Power, the largest energy provider in the state, imposed 6 rate hikes in the last 3 years, during which time the Vogtle nuclear power plant came online and Georgia saw a boom in data centers. Data centers Duran says came to Georgia for discounted power.
So data centers are actually paying less for electricity than
Far
residents?
less.
Across the country, new data centers are driving up utility bills in at least 13 states. This analysis found Americans who live near data centers are paying as much as 267% more for energy than 5 years ago. And in the next 5 years, the amount of energy consumed by commercial buildings like data centers in Georgia will more than double.
Data centers will add billions of dollars to costs to electricity rates in Georgia if we don't get better protection than we have right now.
Within the last year, Georgia Power announced a rate freeze and agreed to use revenue from large customers like data centers to lower costs for residents. Georgia Power denies passing the cost of data centers on to others.
There is no risk that residential customers will end up paying for the costs of this large growth, including data centers.
But for Georgians like Kane, already taking extreme measures,
I guess maybe it is time, give up my home.
It might be too late. Chanel Call, CBS News, Atlanta, Georgia.
This AI data center remains an active construction site, but some neighbors tell us they have reached their breaking point and have now filed a lawsuit over the ongoing noise outside their homes.
Around like midnight, there's a lot of loud humming noises.
Tallis West has lived in his home in Vineland for the past 6 years. He's not part of the lawsuit, but says the data center built at Lincoln and Sheridan Avenues emits a loud industrial humming noise during different times of the day.
Outside is not enjoyable to even sit outside because of the noise sometimes. So the neighbors and things like that are right because we can't enjoy being outside anymore.
The data center is owned and operated by Data One USA LLC. The company tells CBS News Philadelphia it's aware of the recently filed lawsuit regarding noise concerns, but can't comment because of ongoing legal proceedings. But in a statement, the company tells us, we have already implemented a number of noise mitigation measures and continue to evaluate additional improvements on an ongoing basis as construction activities are completed. We remain committed to constructive dialogue and being a valuable and responsible member of the community for the long term. Protests like this one here in Union County have been held across the Garden State with more than 80 data centers now in New Jersey. On Wednesday, Governor Mikey Sherrill announced new guardrails she says will hold the centers accountable and protect communities. She says they need to pay their fair share, shifting costs away from residents and develop community benefit agreements.
Deals that will require data centers to address issues like noise, light, and pollution. Deals to invest in surrounding towns and schools, housing, whatever those towns decide that they most need.
And the governor added the guardrails will help communities benefit from AI innovation while also delivering high-paying jobs.
Good morning, Nevadans, and I'd like to explain data centers today in a way that every family here can understand. Let's compare them to a normal 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with 2 adults and 2 kids. The average Nevadan home uses about 930 kilowatt hours of electricity per month. That's roughly 11,000 kilowatt hours per year. The power that runs the fridge, lights, washer, dryer, air conditioning, stove, TV, the kids' devices, and everything that keeps a family alive and comfortable throughout the year. Now compare that to a data center. Desert Research Institute reviewed Nevada data centers' growth tied to Nevada Energy's planning, and they found that the data centers are driving a projected 25,590 gigawatt hours of electricity load growth by 2033. So let's translate that for you. 1 gigawatt hour is 1 million kilowatt hours. So 25,590 gigawatt hours equals 25.59 billion kilowatt hours. Divide that by the average Nevada home, and you are talking about the annual electricity use of about 2.3 million Nevada homes. Nevada does not even have 2.3 million households. So when they say data center, do not picture it as an office building. Picture industrial scale, power demand, constant demand, all day, all night, summer, winter, weekends, holidays. It never sleeps. Now let's talk about the water. A normal family home in southern Nevada is using around 120,000 gallons of water per year. That water is used for showers, toilets, laundry, dishes, cooking, cleaning, pets, kids, and keeping a household alive. Data centers use water differently. They use water to remove the excess heat from the machines. DRI estimated that projected Nevada data center cooling, the demand could be about 9,600 acre feet per year. That's a medium efficiency, so about 3.14 billion gallons of water per year for cooling. They also estimated 12,448 acre could be consumed directly through electricity generation alone. Combined, that is roughly 7.2 billion gallons of water per year. Compare that to a family home at 120,000 gallons per year, you're talking about the water footprint of nearly 60,000 Nevadan homes. So here's the question that every Nevadan should be asking. Why are we being asked to give away water, power, land, infrastructure, and tax abatements for projects that maybe only guarantee 10 Nevada jobs for a 10-year abatement or 50 Nevada jobs for a 20-year abatement? Who is paying for the grid upgrades? Who is paying for the substations? Who is paying for the power transmission? And who pays for when the demand rises? Who pays when the water gets tighter? Who pays when counties need roads, fire protection, wastewater expansion, emergency response, and infrastructure? Because too often, the answer is the Nevadans pay. The investors win, the developers win, the utility companies win, the lobbyists win, the incumbents get their ribbon-cutting photos, but Nevada families are left with all of the risk. I'm not anti-tech. I am pro-Nevada. I support responsible growth. I support jobs. I support innovation. But I will not support selling Nevada's water, grid, land, and future for a handful of guaranteed jobs and a billionaire's press release. Homes first, families first, schools first, small businesses first, water first, Nevada first always. Pump the brakes. No more blank checks. No more hidden deals. No more corporate first development. Nevada is for Nevadans. Vote Winterhawk. And remember that June 9th when you go to vote. Thank you.
Austin Newsom has an unexpected new hobby.
What's the highest you've gotten?
Probably about 120.
Using a decibel reader to record the noise level of the trucks that now constantly move in and out of the data center construction site across from his Louisa County home.
Trying to get as much data as I can to show, the county what they say is everything is acceptable versus what it really is.
Since construction began across the street roughly 1 year ago, Newsom says his family's life has been turned upside down.
So this is just constant?
Yeah, all day, every day. And you can just see the haze of the dust floating through the air, and it never stops. And the noise that comes out of this place 24 hours at nighttime is just a loud pitch humming, buzzing noise all the time.
Newsom shared this video with us that he said he captured April 24th at 3 a.m. He said it depicts disruptive overnight work at the Amazon Web Services data center on Jefferson Highway. Newsom said he bought this house 12 years ago because he wanted to live out in the country. And now he says nobody wants to buy it because of the data center across the street.
Every person that comes and looks at it like, oh, we didn't know it was across the street from a data center.
A few weeks ago, he actually filed a complaint with the county after large amounts of dust were spewing out of the construction site.
It was got to the point where you could barely see to cross the road.
Louisa County told me they did receive a dust complaint. When they came out here to investigate, they found the dust was associated with a utility project. I asked them if that utility project was directly related to the construction of the data center. They did not directly answer that question, but they did tell me it fell within the limits of disturbance for the construction campus. They then referred me to Dominion for more answers.
A spokesperson for Dominion told me they were doing work on a line feeding the Amazon Web Services campus, but that work was done within 2 days. The county says the construction company handling the project implemented dust mitigation techniques and is continuing to monitor conditions to ensure appropriate measures remain in place. Just after we left, Newsom sent us a photo of a truck spraying water on the road. But for Newsom, those mitigation measures are not enough. Now, he is advising others to get informed.
For people that, live in communities that they don't have data centers yet or they're being debated, what is your message to them?
Fight it. Fight it very hard. Do everything you can. Go to the meetings. Pay attention.
They are building data centers next to national parks, on top of wetlands, and 10 miles away from the Great Salt Lake. And you weren't supposed to find out. While everyone is arguing about whether AI uses water, which it does, a lot of it, nobody's really talking about where these data centers are being built and who is being forced to live next to them. In Memphis, xAI has built a supercomputer in 122 days in a historically black neighborhood, dozens of unpermitted gas turbines. The NAACP is suing over this. In Utah, a 40,000-acre data center just got approved at the edge of the Great Salt Lake. Scientists say it'll generate so much waste heat, equivalent to 23 atomic bombs a day. All of the bird habitat and animals gone. In Florida, a proposed data center would pave over 230 acres of wetlands. Bald eagles, wood storks, gopher tortoises, and a bunch of other protected species. That is their home. In Oregon, Google already uses 40% of an entire town's water supply. And now they're trying to siphon water out of Mount Hood National Forest. That water is the water endangered salmons need to survive. And it's always the same playbook. Rural towns, tribal lands, black and brown neighborhoods, places already in droughts, places where 25 out of 31 Virginia communities had to sign an NDA, meaning residents didn't even know there was a data center coming into town until it was being built. This is not a coincidence. This is the infrastructure of big AI. It's predicted to grow 8 times more by 2030. This is exactly why I do not use any big AI companies like ChatGPT, Gemini. I also don't use Google anymore. If I do, then I put -AI. And if I do have to use an AI, I use EcoGPT. Why? Because EcoGPT uses 10 times less energy and water, plus they plant trees for every 100 prompt. Obviously, no AI at all would be amazing, but it is so unrealistic at this point in time for everyone using AI right now to just completely stop. So please make the switch if you're using any big AI company right now.
A lot of people feel hopeless about these data centers barging their way into your community, and I just want to give you some helpful tips on how you can try to fight back. I am not an attorney and this is not legal advice. I just know a lot about local government because of all of the local government corruption I expose and things that I've learned along the way. First thing you need to do is look at your town's master plan. Pretty sure it's called the same thing in every state, but it might be called something different in your area. Master plans are done like every 10 years and they're like 100, 200 pages, and it goes through how you want your community to be set up in the future. And that's going to include a map that looks like this that is zoning. The land can be zoned residential, where you just have residential homes. It could be zoned commercial. It could be zoned agriculture, things like that. A data center is typically going to fall under industrial zoning. So if you have a huge plot of land in your community right now, zoned industrial, you're kind of welcoming a data center in. I would advocate for my planning commission and my board to zone it agriculture, something else instead. Next thing you need to do is you need to look at your ordinances. Those are your local laws. Best thing to start with would be your noise ordinance, because we know that these data centers are very loud. So if you have a noise ordinance that's very strict, then it might make it where these centers can't even come in. But obviously you can't discriminate. So if you have a noise ordinance for data centers, it's going to affect the entire town. So you want to make it reasonable. And the third piece of advice, and most important, is make sure you elect good officials to run your town. Especially if you're in a small town, there's typically not a lot of people that even run for office. So you just get what you get and you can't throw a fit. But maybe that's your sign that you need to step up and run for office. I've dealt with many local governments, and I can tell you there are plenty that are corrupt, and then there are plenty who are very well intended but just don't have the knowledge to know how to do these things. I wouldn't always go in guns a-blazing. I would just go in as more of a curiosity, like, hey, did you guys know that we should be doing this? Like, can we work on our ordinances? Can we work on our zoning? So number 4 is you need to make sure that your town has a really good insurance policy. So we saw recently in Saline Township, Michigan, where they had the zoning. They had all the things. They voted no on the data center, and yet the company sued them. And reports say that they did not have the budget to be able to fight back against this company, which is a little weird to me because every single municipality has insurance that covers them when lawsuits happen. But typically there's a limit on how much the insurance will cover. So just look into that. It may be best for your community to spend a little bit more money on insurance like that to protect yourself. And 5, don't ever forget the power of the judicial system. Right now there is a class action lawsuit against Alliance Cloud Services in Dowagiac, Michigan for their data center being too loud. So plaintiffs allege that the excessive noise is causing property damage. And this is just one example of a lawsuit, but there are lawsuits all across the nation right now for things like environmental concerns and not following the proper process through zoning and everything. So those are my 5 tips to protect your community against data centers. Now, they are not foolproof. It doesn't promise that they will stay out, but it gives you a fighting chance. Thank you for bearing with my sick voice. It still won't go away. It's been like over 2 weeks at this point, and it's just here to stay. But let me know if I missed anything. And as always, let me know your thoughts about this and make sure you're following me for more.